Hello Violets. In this video, we're gonna go over some of the changes, the nerfs that have happened to Ascendant Blaze. So what happened was yesterday when I did my patch highlight video, in it was a tweak that came for burn damage changes against Flak armor. Essentially, all burn damages deal 50% less damage to Flak. And initially I thought this was only targeted at the Flamer because for Psykers, burn is Soul Blaze, and I thought Soul Blaze was its own noun because when you apply Soul Blaze to something, it is Soul Blaze rather than burned. Turns out I'm wrong, because when I woke up this morning and I browsed the DARKTIDE Reddit, as you do, I saw a couple of posts saying that Ascendant Blaze got hit by this change, and so I hopped on to go and check things out, and well, it is true. Ascendant Blaze has been hit quite hard by this, and in this video, we're going to take a look at how bad it has become and what can we do from there. So, let's set the stage. Ascendant Blaze is a final tier feat that allows your Psykinetics Wrath to apply Soul Blaze to all enemies hit based on the number of warp charges that you have. So if you have 4 warp charges, you apply 4 stacks. The secondary benefit is that any enemies killed by your Soul Blaze effects from any source have a 10% chance to grant you a warp charge. Now, they don't need to die from the tick damage of your Ascendant of your Soul Blaze, they just need to be affected by it. So that means they need to at least have taken 1 tick of damage from Soul Blaze. So previously, before these changes, 4 stacks of Soul Blaze was the bare minimum to kill anything meaningful. And that anything meaningful was that with 4 stacks, you could kill scab shooters. The most basic of shooters here, these two. You could kill them with 4 stacks before. Now, if I get to 4 stacks of warp charges, so with 4 stacks and no buffs, so I don't have any warp unleash or anything, we are dealing half the damage to the shooters now. This used to be 24 damage per tick, and I remember the figures very vividly because I used to be in the Psychonium testing a lot about it. But now as you can see, 4 stacks of Soul Blaze functionally doesn't do anything anymore. 4 stacks can only kill these things. These groaners, that's all they can kill. So, let me reset first. So what can we do now? Well, now the next breakpoint to actually kill shooters is at 6 stacks. And if I get to 6 stacks, at 6 stacks, we can not only kill shooters, but we will hit the breakpoints of killing both these drag enemies as well. So for unarmored enemies, that breakpoint has not changed. So now at 6 stacks, we are doing what we used to do at 4 stacks. And we can just about kill the scab shooters before the damage falls off too much. We can kill drag enemies, no problem, this is still fine. But against scab, as you can see, the bruiser here is still alive, as well as the stalker. Let me just kill that. Reset, and there we go. So at 6 stacks, we can kill 2 out of the 3 shooters, which is still good, but of course, we want to be able to kill shooters from 30 meters away, especially if you're using the Percator stuff, because the Percatus lacks the range to deal with shooters. So we can try and push up the damage by maybe using Warp Unleashed. Alright, now that I have 6 stacks and I'm at 0 peril, I only get a 10% damage boost from Warp Unleashed. Will this be enough to take out a scab stalker? Our Blaze has now gotten a 2 damage increase. The dregs still die, the shooters still die, but it's still not enough to kill a stalker. And of course, not enough to kill a bruiser. Instead, what if we tried casting Ascendant Blaze while at critical peril, thereby maxing Warp Unleash's damage potential? Okay, so I've gotten back 6 stacks of warp charges. I am now holding down right click on my brain burst so I can maintain the peril. I will cast Ascendant Blaze, 6 stacks, and continue to hold brain burst down so I can keep increasing my peril to reach the damage cap for Warp Unleashed. So as you can see now, we're doing 30 damage per tick, and that will go up to 31 now. And this should be just enough to kill scab stalkers. And we kill everything except the bruiser now. So, of course, you don't want to be just holding on to your brain burst while waiting for enemies to tick down. Even though that's functionally the only way you will be able to get the damage boost with Warp Unleash or using your feats alone. But what we can do is use the old trick for Ascendant Blaze and how Soul Blaze works with damage. So for those of you who don't know, Soul Blaze inherits any damage buff that you get on a tick-by-tick basis. So things like Pinning Fire, Slaughterer, all of that will boost your Soul Blaze damage. But what also boosts your Soul Blaze damage is your perks. So in this case, my Void Strike has 25% damage to Flak Armor. If I cast Ascendant Blaze while equipping my Void Strike, all my ticks will have 25% damage against Flak. And so I can do more damage to them just by equipping my staff. So let me just get back to 6 stacks. Alright, now that I am back at 6 stacks of Warp Charges, I will cast Ascendant Blaze with my Void Strike out with 25% damage to Flak. And we should see the same damage as we saw with Warp Unleashed. Yes, we're seeing 31 per tick, except now I can actually fight because I can still cast, you know. This is enough to take out all 3 shooters, which are the most important targets for Ascendant Blaze to kill, and that brings us to the new threshold. Now, if you want Ascendant Blaze to do anything, especially on Damnation, you will need to have 6 stacks of Warp Charges, and one of your weapons will need to have plus 25% damage against Flak. It can be your melee, it can be your range. But this alters build crafting a little bit, because it means if you want Ascendant Blaze to do anything, you must take Warp Battery already. And this is something I don't really like because it limits potential of other builds since you are so dependent on one feat to work with another. While we're talking about feats, let's go over some of the other feats that have Soul Blaze on them. The first being Rack and Ruin. Because Rack and Ruin always only applied 3 stacks ever since the change, you will always need 6 stacks to kill something anyway. So functionally, it hasn't changed very much. You still need to Brain Burst Elite twice, and for it to apply 6 stacks total to the shooters around it. But for the Scab Stalker, you might need to now swap to your weapon after your second Brain Burst so that you have enough damage to actually kill it. Wildfire, on the other hand, it suffers a lot, honestly, because Wildfire is tied very closely to Ascendant Blaze. If Ascendant Blaze gets nerfed, so does Wildfire. Because previously, Wildfire acts as a booster sort of to help you get Warp Charges faster so you can recast a 4-stack Ascendant Blaze, or to help you get your Inner Tranquility back faster than you otherwise could. But because 4 stacks now no longer does anything, and you are giving up Warp Battery for this, you are getting back charges for Ascendant Blaze just so you can maintain Inner Tranquility and the damage boost granted by Warp Siphon. The actual use of Ascendant Blaze is now kind of pointless, especially in Damnation. So this change is a bit heavy-handed, I feel. I feel they might have targeted Psykers a bit too heavy with this, because this really neuters. It doesn't kill the Pagatus staff because the Pagatus can exceed 6 stacks very easily. It kills anything that depended on Ascendant Blaze because Ascendant Blaze has a cap based on the number of Warp Charges that you can have. Moreover, not only did this change increase the floor of how many Warp Charges you needed for Ascendant Blaze to be useful, it also lowered the ceiling because now you can't kill things that you used to be able to. So with 6 stacks of Warp Charges and a 25% damage to Flak, you used to be able to kill these 2 shotgunners on Damnation with Ascendant Blaze alone. They would tick down and die from the damage. You can't do that anymore. You could also, you could also kill this gunner previously. You can't do that anymore. So while this losing the ability to kill shotgunners and gunners with Ascendant Blaze isn't the biggest deal because you would probably want to prioritize them and kill them with Brain Burst anyway, it just removes the potential, and that's kind of sad, honestly. So TLDR, if you want to continue using Ascendant Blaze to kill meaningful things, you must have Warp Battery, and there's no two ways about it. So yeah, I guess that's it for this video. This is a quick test to show the impact of the changes has on this build. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you in the next one. Varlets.